Hello, everyone in Northwest Kansas, and happy Independence Day. I want to give a crop update. Early planted corn, irrigated corn is in that V10 range right now. Dry land is in that V8 range. Irrigated corn is looking pretty good. It's again reaching some of the fertilizer that's underneath it, and is actually, demanding a lot. It demands a lot of water, quarter-inch per day. It demands a lot of nutrients, potassium and nitrogen being the primary, and then phosphorus secondary. So while this crop is asking for this, the demands are great. We need to do what we can to mitigate this. Now, even if the nutrients are there, if we don't have soil moisture, because a crop drinks its nutrients, then we won't have a good uptake. So that said, I understand we can't make it rain. Irrigated, we can only do so much. But understand that this is a very critical time in this corn's life, because stress now will have yield consequences. No doubt. So whatever we can do to mitigate those stresses, we need to do. This doesn't mean going out there and throwing things at it. This just means managing through. That means our weed control should be done, completed, and it should be good. That's the ideal. We have escapes, yes, but in hopes that everything is pretty good, because this, corn up to this just can't take the competition for radiation, nutrients, and everything else. So, and water for that matter. And the fact that we're in such a stress moisture environment, we need to make sure that we're doing what we can to. And those decisions and those actions have taken place before. We just hope we were successful. As far as any management issues, seeing some corn root feeding, and seeing some mites, and the mites are the ones that concern me the most. I have had to treat some, but I anticipate with this weather forecast that these numbers will continue to increase. So we need to make sure we're diligent in looking and make necessary management decisions based upon what we see and what we have, to try to mitigate the negative effects on the corn. Fairly small. I don't like treating mites this small, but unfortunately the year is what it is. Overall, corn looks really, really good and is developing really, really well. It's taken a while to get to this point, but it does look good, and we just need to continue to do what we can to manage through this moisture situation. As for dry bean stands look great, and the beans look good. Whether it's no-till like here or conventional till, we see a little bit more sun scald on these. However, the one common denominator is thrips are just absolutely having a heyday in these bean fields, and we're having to treat just about all of them because of thrips. And we need to make sure that we do treat these, because if not, we will suppress the growth to the point where we won't be able to have an optimal crop. So milo looks great. Weed control is the main thing that we need to be concentrating on now. Early planted milo, probably about 3 to 4 weeks from head. We should see some boots here within the next week or two. Soybeans look great, finally starting to grow some. We're suppressed a little bit by thrips, but as a rule, thrips don't bother them unless they're little beans, and if they're little beans, it will keep them from developing. So as far as soybeans go, we just continue to, if you can keep the water to them, August is really a critical time, July, August. Alfalfa, first cutting was fair, but this second cutting, between cuttings, I've seen some weevils and aphids. Have had to treat those. We put a biostimulant on, and the grower commented on how good or how quickly that alfalfa regrew as a result of that biostimulant. As far as sunflowers, they're there are some out there, make sure we're paying attention to stem weevils, and before too long we'll be having to look for head moths and head weevils because these things are starting to bud. We'll be flowering later this month. Wheat, harvesting wheat right now, looks great, developing well. Yields are better than anticipated in a lot of instances, especially for no more moisture than we had. But it's great that we're getting through this. Now we do have a lot of fields like this where we have some weeds. We just need to make sure that we have some plans in place to what we're going to do after harvest. In these arid environments, there's still going to be weeds there. What are we going to lead with? What are we going to use? And maybe that's not what we conventionally do. Put some thought into this and have these plans set in place before you start out just doing the same thing we always do. All in all, considering the lack of moisture, considering this harsh environments that we've been going through, and we have had a few pop-up storms, but nothing significant. Things look fairly good. If we can if we can get through this week, and maybe we'll see some moisture at the end of the tunnel, maybe we can muddle through this. But if not, we're going to start seeing some of this dry land going backwards fast. So with that, if you have any questions, thank you so much for your time. And if you need anything, give me a call. Thank you. Have a great 4th of July.